India's #1 networking company, Microland, brings you a video report of a memorable event attended by top brass from the world's leading IT companies, including the Sultan of Software, Bill Gates. Bill Gates, who came and spoke and left a significant imprint on the history of Indian industry, interacting with distinguished business leaders at Microland's Technology Forum, Enterprise Tomorrow, Today. The opening address was presented by Microland's founder, chairman and managing director, India's Young Business Achiever 1996, Pradeep Dar.
Good afternoon, friends. On behalf of Microland, I welcome you to Enterprise Tomorrow Today, a forum which provides an opportunity for business leaders in India to understand the global impact of technology on corporate success through the creators of these technologies. We are living in a world of change and turbulence, where the sands of time are shifting faster than ever before. Basic concepts for managing customers, shareholders, and employee satisfaction are becoming the key focus areas for all CEOs. With the rapid rise of the internet, information access at our fingertips is a reality. This provides customers a wealth of information and choices, making the task even more difficult to accurately predict customer preferences and satisfy these. Most businesses are working harder to maintain their current market position. Market leadership is increasingly harder to win and even harder to keep. Customers are more demanding and less loyal today. Yet, many markets are so saturated that customers find it impossible to distinguish between one me-too product and the other. With appropriate technology planning and deployment, a business can hope to effectively use its information technology assets for tangible business gain. The paradigm, therefore, is shifting to a clear focus of the business benefits of information technology. We believe that the enterprise of tomorrow will rely on information technology to provide the key strategic edge. And the time for making these investments are now. This should be the agenda that we set for ourselves. Appropriately, the theme for today's seminar is titled Enterprise Tomorrow Today. In the field of information technology, Compaq, Microsoft, and Intel, all partners of Microland, are the key drivers of the technologies that the enterprises of today are using and will continue to use tomorrow. It's our privilege that they are all going to present their story and their vision for the enterprise of tomorrow. At today's forum, we are going to hear the world leaders speak. Microsoft's visionary Bill Gates needs no introduction. He has probably singularly been responsible for shaping the lives of this world in the last decade. Information technology today is being guided by Microsoft with the dynamic technologist and the exponent Bill Gates at its helm. Microsoft works very closely with Intel, a $20 billion corporation, on driving the industry standards of open architecture, the architecture which allows the dreams to come true. If it were not for them, the world's IT canvas would not be forcing leaders to relook at the traditional proven ways and trade them for the new world. Every artist and his creativity needs a medium to appreciate the genius. PCs are the medium, and Compaq is the undisputed leader. The fifth largest computer company, and its sights set to be among the top 3 computer companies in the world by the year 2000. These world leaders are creating a knowledge revolution which is affecting our lives, our enterprises, and the way in which we think, act, live, and conduct our lives. In order to keep such a distinguished gathering abreast of changes and developments and their impacts, we propose to make Enterprise Tomorrow Today an annual forum relying on the combined strengths of our partnerships to offer the very best in a unique and exclusive seminar. And I'm extremely pleased to inform this August gathering that Paul Chan has confirmed this afternoon that for the next year's forum, Mr. Eckhard Pfeiffer, President and Chief Executive Officer of Compact Computer Corporation, will deliver the keynote address. Thank you, Paul. Enterprise Tomorrow today is another milestone demonstrating Microland's leadership and commitment to the Indian industry. We are a knowledge company, a product of the information age that provides the enterprise solutions for the networked era.
Liberalization of the Indian economy opened up the market to global standards, global customer demands, and global competition. This necessitated Indian corporates to adapt themselves to the ever-changing environment fast. Successful organizations are leveraging their traditional strengths with an understanding of the urgency for change and are looking at information technology as the key facilitator in this quest for excellence. Just like the rest of the world, they are seeking an ideal partner who will give them the winning edge. The question is, who is that partner?
We have as a company a reputation for being the leader in what we do. In addition to being a hardworking company, an innovative company, we have also been lucky that we have managed our priorities that we set for ourselves in the last 7 years well. And these were customers, employees, and shareholders in that order. In the economy of which we all are a part, there is no guarantee for lifelong learning. It is necessary to continually improve our human capital because it's truly one's own only security. The network, information, and education that it provides access to is a major factor in refreshing our human capital. Today, much of the technology is planned or available. The challenge is the availability of the human capital with the ability and desire to use the new communication paradigm. That challenge is a very much personal challenge for all of us here today. Once again, friends, I would like to thank you for being with us here today, and do have a terrific afternoon.
Get set now for the keynote address and then the Ask Bill question-answer session by Bill Gates, one of the most influential people of our decade, whose dream is to provide every single enterprise all over the world with windows to perceive and plan its destinies.
Friends, please join me in welcoming Bill Gates, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Microsoft Corporation.
Well, good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to be here and talk with you about where technology is going. I believe there's an incredible opportunity today to use technology to make businesses more effective. These tools are really revolutionary, and they will make business far more global, far more rapid, far more competitive than ever before. Now, we've always thought of the computer as a computation device, but that model has become outmoded. More and more, we have to think of the computer as a communications device. And I think this is the key tool of the information age. Well, PC volumes have continued to grow. In fact, we recently passed the milestone of having more PCs sold on a worldwide basis than TV sets. And that shows where the future really lies. Now, as the power of the processor has been driven up, the PC architecture can take on the most demanding computing tasks. And we're very close to being even more powerful than very, very expensive mainframes. A few years ago, this same success loop I talked about for PCs started taking place for the server. And there were many elements that were going into this. There was the increasing power of the Intel chips, and there was also the availability of our Windows NT product. And so a new class of applications that in the past would have been written for mini computers our mainframes, or AS400s, or Unix workstations were built on Windows NT. As the volume has gone up, the price of these server machines has come down very significantly, and now the price performance is really unmatched. In fact, in the database area, all the top systems are based on PC technology. Well, I talked about computers being a communication device, and for many years there was an absence of standards of how these computers should talk together. There were a lot of protocols that worked in different ways. A few years ago, the Internet emerged as the key set of communication protocols. And this is a major development. It was actually fostered by work done in universities. And it was kind of a surprise that it moved very rapidly out into the commercial sector and gained critical mass. Today we have a worldwide network written to these common protocols. At the transport level, this is the TCP/IP protocol. And so now it's very clear every network that people have will be migrating over to TCP/IP. And that means that all of your networks not only work together with each other, but they work together with the global network, and they work together with your customers and suppliers network. So information sharing has become possible. Microsoft has more people involved in Internet Standards Committees than any other company, because we believe the growth of the Internet will really drive our industry forward. I'm sure you've seen articles from time to time talking about the limitations of the Internet, that it's too slow, there's a lack of security, and many missing elements to achieve the ideal dream. All of that is true, but these limitations are being solved by many companies, including Microsoft, that have this as a top priority. Issues of security, directory, and bandwidth will be addressed, and so year by year, the Internet will continue to grow. In the near term, what this means is that businesses will all be connected through the Internet. It means that universities will be connected as well. Moving out further to small businesses and other schools, and even eventually till the home, will take more time. But that will happen. That's part of the eventual destiny of the Internet connected up to state-of-the-art personal computers. Now, for businesses, the Internet allows for information sharing in a much better way than ever before. In the past, people had servers, file-sharing servers, where you could share information by typing in a server name and a file name. When you wanted to navigate from one piece of information to another, you needed to type in another cryptic name. Well, now we've changed that by bringing links into the operating system and the Office software as a standard feature. So now to navigate, you just look at a document, read what it says, and follow the link simply by clicking without knowing what the name is. And we allow now documents of all types, Word documents, Excel documents, HTML documents. You have these links and this seamless migration. If you're ever reading a document and you don't understand it, the person who's authored it can easily put in a link that lets you click and send a piece of mail to pose a question. And so almost anything that goes on in a business, any process you have, can now be made electronic using intranet software. Well, what is this software? Well, because we built these standards into Windows, into Microsoft Office, you need very little additional beyond what you've already purchased. In fact, all the PCs you have and the way they've been networked together, that's the big investment. And now with electronic mail and Office software and Windows NT, it's just sitting there waiting to be used for more and more applications. Every business should go and look at all the paper forms they have and consider how they can get rid of those, building electronic systems that are more accurate and more efficient. Microsoft has almost gotten rid of all of its paper forms. And in every area, it's very exciting to see the benefits of these new systems. Our product planning process, our budgeting process, our sales analysis process, our personnel review process, all of these now are done on a purely electronic basis. One of the areas companies are finding a huge payback is using these systems for customer support. This allows you to pull together in one place all of the interactions with the customer and make sure that if there needs to be an escalation to keep that customer happy, that happens on a very, very timely basis. These networks that let you share information will also be used to reduce the cost of ownership. They'll be used to distribute new software on an automatic basis. You won't even have to think about doing that, and certainly won't have to go out to the different machines. When people talk today about business process reengineering, they mean moving from the older computer systems to these new designs and moving from paper systems to the PC with the standard software that makes all of this work. And in every industry around the world, there are leaders who are moving to this faster than anyone else. And one of Microsoft's jobs is to share the stories of the successes and the information about how to proceed to get this business value on a rapid basis. Well, the first stage, as I've said, is information inside a company. But once you have those systems going, the opportunity to reach outside the boundary of your company becomes pretty significant. Reaching out to suppliers to know the availability, to know the status, to know the pricing. Reaching out to customers to let them see the status of their account and get more detail than they could otherwise. Even in the extreme case, using the internet as a place to do transactions. And so if you have something that you want people to bid on, you post that up on the internet and use special software like the electronic commerce software we built on Windows NT to let people post their bids. Or anytime you want to transact business, you can use the search capabilities of the net to find out people who might be interested in working with you. Even markets that are poorly mediated today, like consulting offerings or part-time work, can be handled very effectively through the internet. So one thing the internet is, it's the world's most efficient marketplace where everybody can meet and use electronic means to sort out who wants to buy and who wants to sell the same type of product. You can think of having companies that do lots of business online. Today, when I want to buy a book, I simply go out to the internet and search through a list of hundreds of thousands of titles and buy at a very low price, and it's delivered to me within 24 hours. Likewise, if I want to book travel reservation, I do that through the network, and it's far easier. I can see more choices because the online internet database has pictures of all the hotels and lots of background, and immediately tells me what's available and what's not available, and creates a trip itinerary, including printing out maps and everything that I need to know, far better than previous systems would have been. Now, these are early days in the world of the internet. People are still figuring out what kind of user interface makes sense. They're figuring out how to present, for example, banking information so people enjoy banking online. One of the things we can do is keep track of everyone that comes and visits an internet site. And that becomes an unbelievable marketing database because you can tell who's coming back, what they're looking at and analyze it in ways that would never have been possible in the past. The Microsoft Internet sites taken together are the most popular set of sites on the Internet. And every morning when I go in, I can look and see what's hot on our site, what people are paying attention to, and what the feedback is. Is there a product that people are have particular complaints about, or part of the site they would like to see that's far, far better. We get an immense amount of activity, many millions of hits a day. Our developer area is one of our most active. People who go to that area spend over 40 minutes. The other thing that's very popular is free software. Whenever we put up free software, we get millions and millions of hits, people coming in to get that, which I guess is not a surprise. But it means that we have to make sure to have lots and lots of capacity every time we put up a new product. Microsoft's greatest growth is coming from large companies building networks of personal computers. And our core expertise is building high-volume software. Software like the operating system or the productivity tools that are used on a global basis. We've made a decision to stick to that area. And so we're not getting involved in building a large consulting company. We're not getting involved in building vertical applications. We work with partners who come in to provide those capabilities. And it's that partnership that can give customers all the elements that they want. In fact, here in India, there are many companies like Microland who've been excellent partners in building up the capacity and really making sure that all the training and capabilities for supporting the products are absolutely there. Our main products are Windows, Office, and Back Office. These are all products that were evolving quite rapidly. In 1996, the biggest theme for us was the Internet and getting those standards built in to every one of these products. We can take that further now and make it easy to build distributed applications, applications that run across multiple servers. We're building a transaction manager that makes it transparent for somebody building the application that they're actually running on multiple machines. A big focus for us this year is working on cost of ownership. And we've got a program that I'll talk about called Zero Administration Windows. People are going to be amazed at how much improvement we can make there simply by getting a new version of NT, NT version 5, that's very focused on that. And to broaden the market, we're continuing to drive simplicity and integration in all of the products. Well, Windows NT is a key foundation piece, and it was a very ambitious project when we put it together. We looked at what was great about Unix, the capacity and robustness. We looked at what was good with NetWare, the high-speed file sharing, and we looked at the Windows user interface and all the applications and decided that if we could bring all three of those things together, we'd have a very big winner. Well, the volume growth of Windows NT has been phenomenal. And that's because the application set is just getting richer and richer, and the partners are building the hardware and the elements that are driving that to be the same kind of standard on the server that Windows is on the desktop. Over 90% of desktop systems today run Windows, and we expect at the server level we'll get the same sort of strength because of the application's presence and the simplicity of having that uniformity. Now, we're not saying that the only computer systems will be Windows. In fact, we spend a massive amount of effort building in interoperability so that we can coexist with NetWare, with Unix, any of the systems that are out there. So there's no need to throw away what you have today. You can move in an incremental fashion and evolve towards more and more systems that take full advantage of the richness of Windows NT. Comparing Windows NT to its primary competitors, we're at about triple the sales rate of the new version of NetWare. And in terms of Unix, of course, there's two ways to look at Unix. There's many different forms of Unix: HPUX, AIX, Solaris, SEO, and a number of others. And unlike Windows NT, where it is absolutely identical across all the systems, these different versions of Unix have different user interface and different application interfaces. At the core, there's a common element. And in fact, we've made sure that that's part of Windows NT. The so-called POSIX standards, all the rich Unix utilities, Everything you expect in a generic Unix is in Windows NT. Partly because a lot of Unix runs on very expensive hardware, people are clearly moving to the Intel platform. They're also seeing the richness of what's built into NT. The internet richness is simply one of the areas we've been expanding in the last year. Now, on top of Windows NT, we have a number of products, and we've used a term just like the Office term we use for the desktop. We've got the individual components, but we tie them together, where you only have to have one directory, so the security is easy to watch, seeing the events, and managing the system. It's all done in one place. More and more, that's so-called web-based management. So any place you go where there's a browser, you can reach in and see what's going on in the system. At the desktop level, we're continuing to evolve Office. As I say, building in links was a key element to this last version, building in rich search capabilities, and then lots of things inside each of the major applications. The room for innovation there is still very, very strong. The feedback we get from our users is a key element of everything we do. The phone calls, the electronic mail messages, the meetings, the usability labs, all of those help us prioritize the new features. There's a lot of things that are being done to make the hardware easier to work with. Plug and play in systems that you don't have to open up and play around with. Taking this browser interface, the web interface, and using it as the central user interface. So building that into the shell in a way that's even more powerful than what we have today. So that's for the individual user. Will make things less frustrating and easier to understand. In terms of the IT budget, there's many ways that we can cut down on costs. There's the desktop costs, the communication costs, server costs, and application development costs. And when people say total cost, it's important that they have all four of those elements, because communications and data center costs are often much larger even than desktop costs. Particularly here in India, where many people have to use expensive lease lines or VSAT communications, the communications part for many companies can be over half of the money they spend. And so having clever software that reduces the need for that communication and can make it less expensive is very, very worthwhile. In Zero Administration Windows, a lot of key elements of this. Automatic hardware configuration. No more interrupt conflicts or devices that can't be automatically detected. To do this perfectly requires us working with the hardware manufacturers and getting rid of the older bus structure, the ISA bus, where we can't always do the automatic detection. We have to build into the system the automatic update capability so that if there's a new service pack, it just goes out to the systems and you can roll it back and change it whenever you want. An administrator should be able to easily control what somebody does on the network. A really innovative thing we're doing is what's called the stateless client, where instead of storing a lot of state on the desktop machine, we copy that up, we mirror that up on the server. But we keep a cache of what you're doing down on the local machine so that 99% of the time you get the speed of the local disk. However, if you move to a new machine or if you lose if your machine breaks, any machine you work on, we understand what files you've created and all of that state, and we can migrate it down to that machine. And so now PCs become identical. You don't have to worry about what special thing was done on a particular PC, and people are able to move around very easily. Our role here in India has many aspects. To grow the market, to make enterprise users able to take on very demanding applications, and to help drive the software industry here to not only provide enough services for this market, but for the incredible demand that's there throughout the world. We're working, as I said, through partners. We're making sure the applications get developed. We do have a consulting group, a very small group that can drive some of the architecture. And we have things like our certified professional program, where a year ago we only had a few hundred people in this program, but by the end of this year we'll have over 10,000 people who are part of that activity. The opportunity to use information technology as a strategic tool for competitive advantage is here today. Your knowledge workers having PCs that are connected up to a desktop and changing business processes to take advantage of that. There's a huge payback there. And I think now is an excellent time for people to make those investments. The incremental cost for people who've got PCs of taking these software approaches is very, very low, and the cost of ownership will be reduced based on the focus we're providing here. Information technology will be the fastest growing business and the determinant of global competition. And we're certainly looking forward to working in partnership with Microland and reaching out to all of you to make this vision a reality. Thank you.
Among the many meticulous arrangements for Microland's Technology Forum was an Ask Bill form, which was sent earlier to all the 500 distinguished business leaders who were invited to the function. Over 150 questions were received, but due to paucity of time, only a few could be answered in person. And these were put to Bill Gates by Microland's chief, Pradeep Kar.
The first question is by Mr. Harsh Mariwala, Managing Director, Marico Industries. And his question to you is, how is IT likely to change the role of CEOs? What should he do today? Second question, what is the motivating force in your life when you have already been so successful?
Well, the CEO, more and more, needs to get involved with information technology. The ideal is for the CEO to be a personal user, to send electronic mail, to read their electronic mail, and to use the online systems to monitor what's going on inside the company, to look at the sales, look at the forecasts, and there's a lot that you can do to make sure that you're running your business in the best possible way. I think that if a CEO isn't familiar with these tools, there's no way that the leadership will be there to get all of the workers involved. I'm not saying that special systems or applications should be built for the CEO. That's the last thing you want. You want everybody to see the same numbers and work with the same things. So I can, when I'm looking at our sales number, if I mail somebody a link to that, then it's the same spreadsheet that they're always working with. And so the first thing is to have comfort and familiarity with the systems. And then you can take your imagination about where you're trying to take your business and see how the tool will allow that to happen. In terms of motivation, I like my job because every day it's a fun job. Every day I get to learn new things. It's a fast-moving business. I get to work with very smart people inside Microsoft and in the partners that we work with. And I get to see those people develop into business leaders. It's also very motivating to see users of these products, seeing people whose jobs have been made more interesting, seeing companies who are able now to reach out to customers around the world, to see children at a very young age, even 2 or 3-year-olds, who love the interactivity and who it drives them to learn new things because it engages their curiosity. So I'm a big believer in the PC and what an empowering tool it is. The original vision of Microsoft, a computer on every desk and in every home, is still quite some ways away. Even in the United States, we're only about 1/3 of the way to achieving that goal. And Microsoft Research is working on computers that can talk, computers that can listen to speech, computers that can see with little video cameras, and computers that can learn. And so Windows in the future will have all of those capabilities. And only then will I feel like the original dream is being achieved. And so certainly there's a lot of fun work between now and then.
Thank you, Bill. The second question is by Mr. Arun Gupta, Vice President Technology, DSP Merrill Lynch. What are the initiatives Microsoft is taking in the direction of electronic commerce on the net? Second question, when can we expect it to be a reality worldwide and specifically in India?
Well, Microsoft is doing a lot to make it very easy to get out on the net and do electronic commerce. We built into Windows NT the HTTP server, so an off-the-shelf standard version of Windows NT. It's ready to go to make the highest performance web server. We've made our browser, Internet Explorer, free, and we're working with a lot of partners to popularize that. In terms of the special software you need on the network, we have our merchant server product, and that makes it easy to set up and do sales and keep track of orders. There's a very simple user interface that goes with that. The protocol that merchant server uses is called SET, and it's a protocol that's been endorsed by the credit card associations. And what it does is that when you send your credit card, it actually encrypts it so that the merchant never sees your credit card number. It's only the bank who can open up and see what the correct amount is and what the credit card is. So in that way, electronic commerce on the network is actually more secure than when you hand somebody a credit card and they have that and they can use it. And there are a lot of great examples of people building electronic commerce sites very easily. Now, the examples you mostly hear are examples of consumers buying on the network. That is the great potential, but business-to-business commerce will come first. Inside Microsoft, if you want to order a new PC or supplies, we've used the commerce server, merchant server, and you go to a URL and just fill out the order electronically, and then you send it in. And depending on your purchasing authority, the system checks, and if it has to, it sends mail to your boss to make sure they approve before it gets filed. And so we've eliminated all the paperwork there, which is really what the business potential is.
Thank you, Bill. The next question is by Mr. S.S. Mishra, Centurion Bank. The question is, I would like to know your views about the much discussed network computer. Do you think that corporates should plan for it? If not, then how else you feel we should take benefit of the super highway internet?
Well, the network computer means many different things. It means a device that is not compatible. That is, a device that does not run any of the existing PC software today. It means starting over. It also means a machine that instead of giving you a lot of power in the machine itself, it forces the work to be done on the server, which is far more expensive. So you overload the network, you overload the server, and you don't get much response. Because the network computer doesn't have a disk in it, you end up with essentially a time-sharing type system as you're connected up. And the actual cost of the network computer, when they really come out, you'll see that running a browser, which is the largest and fastest growing PC application, requires a full-blown PC. The recent browsers require 16 megabytes and a high-speed Pentium processor. And so basically, it is a PC, but it doesn't have the flexibility of Windows, it doesn't have the portability support, it doesn't run today's applications. And so introducing that into an environment makes it more complex. As long as a product's not really shipping, there's a lot you can talk about and say, hey, what might it be? What might it be? And so when they finally ship, and you'll see that the IBM network computer is incompatible with the Sun network computer, which is incompatible with the Oracle network computer, you'll understand this is a move, an attempt to move back to the days when hardware manufacturers made incompatible devices and they had control over the evolution, and where you didn't have the responsiveness and flexibility that is the hallmark of the PC.
Thank you, Bill. The next question is by Abhay Havaldar, Draper International. The question, Bill, is, would you define Microsoft as a software publisher or a software developer today and in the future? Second, how do you believe the small Indian software development shop perceive the challenge of global distribution and support?
Well, Microsoft is definitely a software developer. That's how we think of ourselves. The work to build and integrate new versions of Windows NT, it's more complex than building a 747. It requires more hours of testing, more hours of engineering. And the testing part of this is a key element. We actually spend more time on testing than actual developing, because we have to work with such a variety of hardware systems and application systems, and with such demanding requirements for upwards compatibility, that it's an incredible engineering achievement as we're shipping these new versions. So that, in terms of publishing, we do have a worldwide organization that's there to support the product and help people to use the product. But our core competence is actually putting together the large-scale software. In terms of a small software developer, there's many strategies that you can pursue. One would be to provide services and advertise your capabilities across the internet and be willing to subcontract out your services. And that's a way of growing your skills and getting involved in some of the fast-growing markets. When you want to take the step to build products, that's a very big step. It has a lot of potential and a lot of risk associated with it. It's great to see that a lot of Indian software companies are taking that step. Today I was with Ramco as they introduced their Marshall 3.0 product. And that's one of about a dozen examples now where I think the software really is going to go out there and set a world-class standard. In terms of the numbers of people, for the foreseeable future, a lot more will be involved in project or support type work. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if somebody has a dream of having a software product, then absolutely the market is going to create thousands and thousands of successes. And companies here should jump in and participate.
Bill, can I supplement that question? Do you think with the current state of the Indian domestic market, is it possible for a company in India to build a world-class software product? Question one. Second, and if you leave aside the ERP space, why is it that there is no other country outside the US which has built a global product?
Well, I'll take the second one first. It is amazing how this industry mainly has U.S. companies as leaders. The U.S. market is still about 45% of the overall market for software. And the customers there tend to be buying the highest-end hardware, and it's the most demanding market. And so it really helps the companies there. If you can compete and win customers in that market, you're likely to do very well throughout the world as the demand for those same features emerges in the other markets. And I think that will change. I don't think the U.S. Position will remain as strong as it is today. There's simply too many companies that have seen the success stories and are going to jump in and do very, very good work. And the internet makes it a lot easier to get out there and know what's going on. And it's a key reason we're here in this country is to help companies attack those opportunities. In order to be successful, I think you can't just work with customers here in India. You have to have some key customers that you're working very, very closely with in the United States. Because software design is an iterative process where you give somebody a product, they give you feedback, you improve it. When we do a beta test, it's amazing how much interest we get, how much feedback we get. So it's easy for us because we're well known. But if you want to get into the market, you have to find some customers you can work with. And because you'll be very responsive to them, they'll work with you. And so having some key customers, both to learn from and to cite as an example in the United States, I'd say that's a key element of for any global software company. SAP, which is the only one of the top 10 that's outside the United States, it's a German company with ERP software. They've built a fairly large California office now. And you don't have to do development in the United States, but you've got to have liaison and a real hands-on feel for what customers are asking for in that market.
Thank you, Bill. The next question is by Mr. Umesh Shenoy, CanBank Computer Services. And the question is, you had some time back stated that Microsoft is only a technology provider and not a competitor to the banks. What proactive role Microsoft is planning in the emerging borderless, deregulated banking environment?
Well, Microsoft's role in banking is to provide software technology, key building blocks that banks can use to be more efficient internally and serve their customers in a variety of ways, including electronic connections. And so our Windows NT is the primary solution being used now in branch banking systems. Microsoft Office is the standard in all kinds of businesses, including banks. And our Microsoft Money product lets customers of banks examine their transactions and their budgets in a very rich way. We also have some tools now to make it very easy for banks to set up websites. And the fact that banks use our tools, that's invisible, but we can make that easy. Particularly this idea of when a customer comes to your bank website, you don't want to show them every customer the same thing. You want to customize what you display based on the profile of that customer and their history with the bank. And so that very rich customization capability is part of our internet product offering.
Thank you. The next question is by Barzin Barucha, Information Technology Manager of Midday. The question is, what is the single most important thing which has made Microsoft tick so far and why?
Well, I think I'd have to cite a couple of things. There's our original vision about the importance of software and the fact that that's been the driver of everything we've done. I think that is a key element. I think hiring really great people, because we like to work with smart people, we tend to hire people who share the vision and are quite energetic. We have shared the success of the company through stock options, and so the companies have really been part of a team in building what we've built. We've taken a very long-term approach. The research projects we're working on today, they're really amazing and risky projects. And we have today, except for IBM, by far the largest group of researchers working on software anywhere in the world. And that's just an example of what we're doing long term, just like what the investments we're making here in this market. There's certainly elements of luck. Our timing in being part of the first computer, in convincing IBM to work with us, in mistakes that our competitors have made to make things easier for us than they should have. All of those come into the picture. But there is a natural position for somebody to build a world-class complex operating system and use the very high volume to sell a system that actually has more R&D in it than, say, MBS, but we sell it at a 10,000th of the price that MBS is sold, and it all works because you multiply by the incredible volume.
He has one more question, which I think is a very difficult question. The question is, will the year 2000 herald a single common operating platform in the world? If yes, what will it be?
Well, if an alien came to this planet and looked at all the computers, they'd find 90% of the computers all running the Windows operating system. And so you'd have to wonder, well, what happened to those other 10%? And it's all, you'd have to explain to them about installed base and how difficult it is to move code away from an installed base. There's still going to be people using other systems, but the percentage of new systems that use PC technology and use Windows as a platform will continue to go up, because we've just taken a volume approach to the market that is driving the software applications. I'm certainly biased in answering that question, but I don't think anybody could get up here and say that fragmented Unix, which is going down in desktop volume, or OS/2, or Macintosh, or any, I don't know what system they bring up, that those things are going to have a stronger position in the marketplace. NetWare never became a general purpose platform, and none of the quality Unix companies ever addressed PC hardware. So it is a case where we've benefited from sort of a vacuum and misexecution by others.
Bill, the last question for this session. This question is by Mr. Partho Chatterjee, Chief Accountant, ITC Limited, Calcutta. The question is, enterprise computing demands a minimum standard of communications-related infrastructural facilities to be in place. Given the below par level of such services in India, how do you envisage the usage of currently available technology by Indian companies to achieve any level of enterprise computing?
I think this is a tough problem, and the issue of improving the telecommunications infrastructure has come up in every meeting I've been in, and in particular talking with the representatives of the government. They seem to be aware that this is a bottleneck for India, and I feel confident that they'll be smart about addressing that. You've got to have a quality network, and it's got to be very, very low cost. That's what the internet is all about. And optic fiber technology keeps getting cheaper. The routers keep getting cheaper. There's no reason that shouldn't be in place. There are some clever techniques that can be used in software to deal with unreliable communication systems. The replication software we have in NT can deal with the idea that the line doesn't work most of the time. But the line's got to work some of the time, or else you just can't move the bits at all. And you could have schemes where you use write once CD-ROM and have people carry those from place to place, but you give up a lot of the immediacy and the efficiency of these systems if they're not connected together. And although the VSAT approach is sort of a stopgap, it's just too expensive to be the ultimate solution. There's got to be an optic fiber-based solution that connects the major areas together. But with the right initiatives, even in 2 or 3 years' time, you ought to be able to see a huge improvement in that.
Bill, a last question. What will you advise CEOs of Indian companies?
Well, I think you're facing a rapidly changing business situation. The opening of competition in many areas, continued high growth rate for the economy, and some wonderful tools represented by what you heard today that you can take advantage of. The first thing is to have a business strategy within your area. The tools we provide allow you to execute on a strategy very effectively. They're not in and of themselves a strategy, but they are so empowering. And companies that use these tools well will find it easier to recruit the smart young people that you want to have to build the future of your company. And so I I really believe in leadership. I believe in leading by example. So first having a strategy, and then mapping that onto how you can use information technology, and even collaborate in new ways through information technology. I think every one of you has a chance to do something very impressive by going in that direction.
Friends, please join me in thanking Bill Gates.
So that was Bill Gates at Microland's Strategic IT Forum, Enterprise Tomorrow, today. Bill Gates, the world's richest man, the wizard of computer software, whose vision and drive have helped to generate ever-widening avenues for knowledge and its communication. Bill Gates, brought to you by Microland.
Liberalization of the Indian economy opened up the market to global standards, global customer demands, and global competition. This necessitated Indian corporates to adapt themselves to the ever-changing environment fast. Successful organizations are leveraging their traditional strengths with an understanding of the urgency for change and are looking at information technology as the key facilitator in this quest for excellence. Just like the rest of the world, they are seeking an ideal partner who will give them the winning edge. The question is, who is that partner?